Hey guys, what's up? It's Tony from Mag Monkeys Airsoft. Today I've been wanting to do this for a little bit. And today I'm going to be making just kind of like a basic airsoft safety video. Whether you're a follower of mine or not, or you're on the team or whatever. These are just some good general things for everyone to know getting into the sport of airsoft, parents included, for kids that are getting in or what have you. First thing that I want to go over is basic firearm safety. A lot of people get a misconception about airsoft guns, thinking that they are toys. They are not. The biggest difference I can basically say between a toy gun and an airsoft gun is, an airsoft gun shoots something. We require protective gear when we play and whatnot. We'll get into that in a little bit. But that's the biggest difference between that and a toy gun. It actually does shoot something. It has potential to hurt somebody pretty seriously, so they should not be treated as toys. They should be treated as something that could potentially do some harm to somebody. So with that being said, there are 4 basic rules to firearm safety that I generally think are really, really important to follow. Number 1 being that you treat each gun as if it were loaded. Okay. So especially even more so the case with an airsoft gun, because it is difficult to tell whether an airsoft gun is loaded or not. You put a magazine in, you take it out, that's great, some BBs might fall out, but you never know if one's still in the chamber or not, and there's not a really good easy way to check that. So always assume that it's loaded, always assume it's ready to go. Battery malfunctions, things like that, gas leaks, something bad can happen, and it's definitely more likely to happen with an airsoft gun than a real gun, because they are quite frankly not built to be as reliable as a real gun. So treat them like they're loaded, always, always, always. Rule number 2, with a loaded gun, you never point it at anything that you are not willing to destroy. Airsoft gun, same principle, you never point it at anything that you are not willing to shoot. Airsoft guns have the capacity to damage property. Obviously, you don't want to point it at a TV or anything like that. You could put a hole in your TV if it gets shot. There are plenty of videos online of people doing really stupid stuff with airsoft guns. Go check them out. It's kind of ridiculous. So with that being said, never point it at anything that you're not willing to shoot. Pets, things like that, just be safe with them. Number 3, keep your finger off of the trigger until you are ready to fire. You never are going to put your finger on the trigger until you are aiming down your sights, or at least aiming at your target, and then you're ready to go ahead and pull the trigger. Okay. The biggest reason I say that is, yes, most airsoft guns have safety, but these things tend to have an ability to break. Gearboxes have what's called a tappet plate. Currently, one of my guns has a broken one of those, so the safety on that gun actually does not work, even though externally it'll click right into that safe position and you'd think it'd be fine, but if you put your finger on that trigger, it would definitely fire. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Safeties break, they break on real guns, they definitely break more often on an airsoft gun, so do not rely on a safety. This is your safety. If you watch Black Hawk Down, you know what I'm talking about. And then my 4th rule with firearms and airsoft guns is to know your target and what is beyond, and what's in the surrounding area. So if you're at a chrono range, you want to make sure that you're not really far back and that there are people in front of you that BBs could potentially fly out to. Airsoft guns are definitely not as accurate as a real firearm, so you need to be aware of what's in front of your muzzle, basically. This also kind of transfers into gameplay a little bit. I don't know a single field that I go to that does not count friendly fire, so if you shoot somebody that's on your team, they are dead. So that's, from a gameplay standpoint, you want to take that rule into account, but also from a safety standpoint for going into places like the safe area, and chrono range is generally near that area, so you really want to be aware of what you're shooting at and what's generally around it. I know it's not your job technically to check and make sure that the nets are all safe and whatnot, but You know, a lot of the, like I said, a lot of those Corona ranges are right next to. Sorry, charging the battery right now. Um, thank you. I know you're done. Um, but a lot of those Corona ranges are right next to the safe area, so you never want to point the muzzle of the weapon or be shooting at that net. Yeah, it's there to protect the people in the safe area, but who knows? Who knows the last time it was checked? Those things do wear down over time, so just be safe with it. So those are my general 4 things with guns, with airsoft guns. Now you might be wondering, what in the world's this? Some people in some fields do not require these, which is actually an amazing thing for me to still see that there are fields that do not require these. This is what they call a barrel sock, barrel condom, barrel sleeve, whatever you want to call it. This basically is a device that goes over your barrel. So this is the barrel, orange tip. We'll get to that part in a second. But this goes over the barrel, and if for some reason you were not to follow one of those rules, the gun were to fire, what have you, this device is actually built to stop the BBs. Is it going to last forever? No. This particular one was bought on ebike.com. They are $1 there. I do not know of any other place that does not sell them for the most part. Pretty much any field that you go to will have these available for you to buy, except perhaps fields that do not require them. But I highly, highly recommend, even if your field does not require you to use one of these, you know, you can get them in any color. They've got really cool designs. I even saw like a Playboy one or whatnot, if that's your thing. They got a lot of cool gun design ones too. You know, it's just there for extra safety. You can never be too safe with this type of thing. Like I said, this is not a toy. This has the potential to take someone's eye out. You know, you don't want to mess around with something like that. So, highly recommend one of these. Like I said, $1 at ebike.com. Most other stores will carry them. This is not to be confused with what's called a barrel plug. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those actually. And the reason I don't have one of those is I do not use those. Barrel plugs generally will come with the gun. I think you might be able to buy them separate. I don't recommend them. And here is why. They will sit flushly over your flash hider, which is the orange tip part of this gun. And they will sit there nicely, and they will tell you that, okay, yes, it can stop a BB, which is probably true. I mean, you could probably test it out and whatnot. My biggest issue is they're made of plastic, which is brittle, and it will eventually break. This is a toughened fabric. It's actually reinforced at the end that it goes on to the muzzle, so if you were to shoot this a bunch, it is definitely you know, there to stop it. And any time too that I notice that these things are getting really worn down, I'll pitch it and I'll just buy another one. Pretty much every time I order from e-bike, I'm at least buying 5 or 10 of these just to have them. I give them out to people that don't have them. You know, this is just about promoting the safety of our sport. You know, people get hurt playing airsoft, then we don't get to play airsoft, which really sucks. You know, we don't want to give ourselves a bad name. So I said I would come to this. This is the orange tip. Now, this is a requirement by federal law that all guns have these for shipping purposes. So if you were to buy from another state or whatnot, when they ship it, they have to legally have an orange tip. Now, yes, people can put tape on it, people can paint it, whatnot, to both take these away and to add those for shipping reasons. If you are under the age of 18, I highly recommend that you keep these on. The main argument for taking these off or painting over them or whatnot is number one, realism, and number two, you know, that this could potentially give your position away. Have I had that happen to me? Absolutely, it has. Is that the worst thing in the world that happens? Yeah, you know, you're playing a game, you're gonna get shot. It happens. It's better to be safe than sorry. You know, I will be breaking this rule in this video. I'm over the age of 18, but I do have, you know, a lot of my pistols do not have these orange tips on them anymore. Some of my rifles do not. I've got suppressors on them and whatnot. Suppressors usually do not have an orange tip, so that's something really important to keep in mind. Any noise amplifiers, barrel shrouds, things like that typically do not come with an orange tip. So with that being said, I take mine off. For that realism thing, sometimes I buy a gun and it doesn't have it on there because I bought it used. I don't like to have my position given away by this. However, I also treat these like a real gun. I have a gun bag that I bring my guns to and from the field from, multiple gun bags, or keep the original box. That's something you can definitely use as well to transport your guns to and from the field. I even go as far as to have a separate bag for my pistols. And two, not all of my guns have those tips. This is my beloved HK45. Maybe I'll do a review on this at some point. It's my favorite handgun by far for airsoft, and I keep the orange tip on it because it's got threads on it. So if I want to put a suppressor on it, cool. And honestly, for a pistol, it doesn't really bother me so much. Yes, I know I just showed you a pistol without one. Ignore that, okay? But in all seriousness, if you are going to be doing any type of backyard shooting, if you're going to be doing target plinking out and about in the community, and that's something that's generally accepted and is legal, which I'll get to that point in a second, I would highly recommend that you keep the orange tips on. Police are very on edge these days. A lot of stuff is going on in the news and media. I'm sure you guys are all aware of that. So you definitely do not want to give the police another reason to want to shoot you. So having these on your guns can be a very life-saving thing. The other thing with me personally, not having these orange tips, I own real firearms. I'm a licensed concealed carry person. So if I were to get stopped, I have all the proper documentation for a real firearm. For an airsoft gun without the orange tip, they're pretty much going to treat it like the same thing, as far as what I understand from talking to some of my police friends. So, moving on to some basic things, you've got a magazine. Most places that you go play are going to have a safe zone. I don't know a single one that does not. So when you're in the safe zone, these cannot be in the gun, like so. When you're on the field, obviously you want to have one in your gun so you're ready to shoot and have fun. But when you leave the field, you're going to take the magazine out. You're going to clear your weapon by shooting it. I generally recommend shooting it 4 times, one to get any extra BB out that's stuck in the hop-up, and then 3 times if you have an AEG to decompress the spring. I find that to be really important in helping maintain the life of your gearbox, unless you've got some fancier gearboxes, which in that case you probably already know what to do with the anti-reversal latch and all that jazz, so I won't bore you with that. But I recommend you shoot it until there are no more BBs coming out, and then shoot it 3 more times to help prolong the life of your gun. It's just a good little beginner advice tip for you guys. So yeah, magazines out of the gun. Even when I drive to and from the field, I don't, this is not how the gun comes out of the gun bag. The gun comes out of the gun bag unloaded, and it always comes out with the barrel stock on. That is also something a lot of people forget. I also do rep, and I've seen people walk onto the field, pull out their gun from their gun bag, and sure enough, this is not on, and I see a magazine in the gun. Both are no-nos in the safe zone usually. So if you're going to a field, just come prepared. You can take the magazine out and have it laying in your gun bag like that. That's already, you show me right here that you've got enough room because that pistol grip sticks out. Just lay it down. It's not too difficult to do. So yeah, it's general safety stuff, general beginner things that you need to know with that. Also, a big thing that I want to talk about is eye protection. I personally, over the age of 18, a lot of the fields that you play at are going to allow people over the age of 18 to wear just goggles, full seal foam, to ensure that you are not going to have any sort of BB coming in type of deal, not having glasses that are going to get knocked out. They are going to require a full seal goggle. If you are under the age of 18, generally what I'm finding, they are going to require you to have a full unmodified paintball mask that has the lower facial protection. The visor thing is optional. If it's got the back helmet thing going on, that's optional, but they need a full face mask covering their teeth and whatnot. I've had friends lose teeth over BBs, so it is actually really no joke. Even though I am over the age of 18, I generally wear what's called a mesh lower face mask to protect my teeth. I'll show you what it looks like real quick. So it actually protects my nose as well. I have been Rudolphed before, where you get shot in the tip of the nose and you get that nice little welt. It's really not fun. But this also keeps your teeth safe. So unless you really enjoy going to the dentist and he's going to give you some major discount and you just love dental work, highly recommend it. The other thing, actually going back to this material, is they do make goggles out of this. When they first started making them, I gotta say, I thought they were the greatest thing in the world because they don't fog. Yes, it's everyone's dream. Goggles that don't fog. Awesome. However, not so awesome, because as I have found by wearing this as well, these are great for stopping, the big BB impact, tooth chipping, etc. But you get somebody running not the highest quality of BBs, lower weight BBs, etc. And they hit this material and then they will shatter. And sometimes you can see that there are holes in this material. Sometimes those pieces will go through those holes. Now for this, not such a big deal. A little itty bitty tiny fraction of a piece of a BB coming in through this, which already has slowed the impact, hitting my mouth or my cheek, not a huge deal. However, if we are talking about my eyeballs, bigger deal for sure. And since it's a broken piece, it's probably jagged and sharp versus a round spherical BB. So that's going to really suck and ruin your day. So you really don't want to mess around with your iPro. Yeah, fogging is awful. Most fields I know, even if you're out in the field, even if a game is going on, if you go find a ref and tell them, hey, I'm fogging, they're going to find a way to help you defog in a very safe way to do that. Whether they have you step off the field or they find a very safe spot on the field and stay with you while you're defogging or what have you, they will take care of you. So I highly recommend talking to your refs about that if you're having an issue, but definitely do not use that as eye protection, even if your field allows it. I do not recommend it. It is not worth the risk. Transportation, some of you can drive, some of you can't. I would highly recommend that you use gun bags, keep things in a trunk of your vehicle or a separate compartment, never where you're riding in the vehicle. It's just a general safety thing as well. If you like this video, hit like, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time at Mag Monkeys Airsoft.